everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Well, today is Mother's Day, and I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all of the beautiful mothers out there. And this one is especially for my mother. Today's video is a highlight of my mother's 6-month retie. And so as you can see right here, here are the final results of my mother's 6-month retie. And in a second, I'm going to show you the results of her installation just to compare the two. So here's what her locks looked like at the initial installation. And you can see already how much her hair has definitely grown and her locks have matured. So if you would like to see how I do my mother's 6-month retie, keep watching. Before I started her retie, I gave her a nice wash. And so this is what my mom's hair looks like, freshly washed. And she has about an inch or so of new growth. And in the front, you can see the texture of her locks look a little different than they do in the back. Her locks in the front kind of look a little bit more frizzy, and they have unraveled on the ends just a little bit. Because remember, when I started her locks, I started them with twist and I interlocked the roots, just like how I started my locks. And so this is what my mom's locks are looking like 6 months into the game. They look really good. And so I have my leave-in conditioner that I have created, and I'm starting out with just adding some leave-in conditioner to her hair to add some moisture back into her hair after I washed it. Once I put all of that into her hair, I'm going to just massage it in. And before I really get going on her retie, as I stated before, some of her ends had unraveled. So I'm going to just retwist a lot of the ends that I see that need to be retwisted. But while I'm looking at this lock, take a look at her roots all the way to like mid-shaft. Her hair is actually locking pretty quickly. So I was pretty pleased to see that. But I always do maintenance before I start the retie, just so that the retie can go a bit more smoothly and faster. So here I am again, retwisting some of the locks that I see that have unraveled. So here we are about halfway done. And as you can see, her grid is still nice and intact. And her locks on the bottom are locking really nice and quickly. Much quicker than mine did. So now we are pretty close to getting done. So I'm gonna just take a moment and show you guys how I do a row of her interlocking. And so I isolate a row and make sure that the parts are nice and even. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm just making sure that I've gotten the row that I'm going to interlock. And I add a little bit of leave-in conditioner because at this point the hair is pretty much dry, and so I like to start with damp hair so that the hair doesn't snap. And so if you know anything about hair, if it's wet it stretches, if it's dry it'll snap. So I like to always work with damp hair when I'm parting. But I use a rat tail comb with the metal tail because I feel like I get much cleaner parts with that kind of comb. I find it important to use clips when isolating the section to make sure that stray hairs don't get into each lock that aren't supposed to get into the lock when we're interlocking. All right, so now that I'm finished parting, I am interlocking using my interlocking tool. I'm using a 3-point rotation. It's the same rotation that I use. I make sure not to do a rotation that's all the way to the scalp because that will cause too much tension on the hair follicle. So when you feel that there's a little tug, that's how you know that you've gone too far. You don't want to have to pull and tug to get that final rotation in. And when you're parting each individual lock, you can either use a rat tail comb or you can use the interlocking tool. If you're using the interlocking tool that I'm using, the tip is pretty small and it's small enough to part off your locks with. So definitely take that into consideration. You can speed up your interlocking time if you use the interlocking tool while you're interlocking each row, so that you don't have to pick up the comb, put down the interlocking tool. That's just a lot of extra steps. You can eliminate a lot of steps by using the interlocking tool itself to part. This is the same process that I've done with each row for this style. And yeah, this is how I do my interlocking. Even with my hair, I go a row at a time and I'm very careful with my parting. And I just make sure that I don't interlock too tight. So I'm spinning it up here because I'm finishing up the style. I'm literally using the same technique. And yeah, I'll be finished pretty soon. So my mother's 1-year Microlocs anniversary is actually coming up. So I will be doing another video pretty soon. Once I see her, we're going to record her 1-year Microlocs update. And I know you guys are going to be super excited to see how her hair looks like after 1 year. But here is the finished product, and her locks turned out so super cute. And her hair has definitely grown since her installation. And oh my gosh, I can't wait for you guys to see what it looks like after 1 year. But here it is. Here's the final result. And again, I hope everyone has a wonderful Mother's Day. Make sure you celebrate your mother and make sure she knows that she's loved. And until next time, see ya.